Now, are you more likely to vote for a politician if you see them with their spouse? Well, the Work and Pensions Secretary, Amber Rudd, has claimed that some of her colleagues are simply parading their other halves in a hope to win popularity. So, should politicians keep their partners private? We're speaking, well, to discuss this, Christine Hamilton, married, of course, to Neil Hamilton, the former Conservative MP for Tatton, joining us live from Wiltshire, and Nevena Bridgen, wife of Andrew Bridgen, Conservative MP, founder of the Wives of Windsor website, also joining us live. Good morning to both of you. Christine, we'll begin with you. I mean, what do you make of Amber Rudd's comments? It does sometimes feel just a little bit 19th, perhaps even 20th century to see politicians parading their better halves out. But what else do we expect?
Well, I think it's entirely up to the politicians. I mean, you do it at your own risk. I don't see any problem with it, but it can backfire catastrophically, as certain people know. I mean, the famous one for people of a certain age or over a certain age is the famous David Mellor at the Five-Bar Gate with his wife. But I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, Amber Rudd doesn't have a spouse, so she can't do it. And I think it's ridiculous to criticise other people. If Jeremy Hunt wants to produce his wife, who is possibly the most interesting thing about him, to be honest, she's pepped up his profile quite considerably. What's wrong? If he gets criticised, people will draw their own conclusions, but I don't see anything wrong with it. And it's not as though the wives are being paraded against their will. That would be wrong, that sort of thing. But, you know, take Jeremy Hunt's wife. She's a perfectly intelligent woman. If she is happy to appear with Jeremy in public, why not? They're married. No problem.
Nevena Bridgen, how do you feel about all of this? I mean, of course, you know, you have your own career as a soprano, your opera singer. How do you feel that some people will know you better as Mrs. Bridgen rather than for what you do?
Well, being a wife of a politician is also part of my identity. Yes, I'm an artist and opera singer. That's my identity as well. But I'm a mother, I'm a woman, I'm a professional person. So it's all part of what I am and who I am today. So calling wives really a prop, it doesn't contribute to the conversation about gender equality, I believe, because you're assuming that they are objects there and they are doing something against their will. And I agree, actually, with your guest, Christine, that it's it's up to them. Also, yes, you are voting for the policy, but there is a human touch, human face of politics also. And politicians are people; they are not robots. So it's absolutely normal that the wives or spouses are part of the political campaign. There is nothing novel about it, really, because we see around the world that to a certain extent the spouses are involved. And I think that's fine. And public is entitled to know a bit more, when they're voting for someone, what values are they standing for.
Christine, as someone, in the relationship that you had with your husband, sometimes it was difficult to say which spouse...
I've still got it, thank you.
I know, sorry, exactly, yes. Just in case you'd left or lost him somewhere. No. But sometimes it was quite difficult to tell with you two who was using the other, who was promoting the other, who was to one side. You don't tend to see as often, do you, as, well, Theresa May and Philip is one example of it, but female politicians, particularly senior female politicians, bringing their husband out to kind of do for the same role?
Well, I'm not sure that we know any more about Mrs. May or Mr. May, having seen him. He does come out quite a lot, but I mean, that cringing interview that they did on, I think it was the One Show, where he said, I decide when I take the bins out, not if I take the bins out. I'm not sure that really he has enhanced Theresa May in any shape or form, but I don't think it's fair to say that wives and spouses are always a sort of just a useful asset or an appendage. I mean, Dennis Thatcher was absolutely not. He was a massive support. He had a big career in his own right. Take modern day, take Miriam Gonzalez. Nobody could say that she was just a sort of spouse of what's his name, Nicholas Clegg. She was very much a person in her own right. And then you have at the other end of the extreme, I mean, who knows even the name of Angela Merkel's husband? But he's very much there. Joachim Sauer, I think it's how you pronounce it. So, I mean, everybody makes their own decision. I don't see any problem with it at all. And if you are just using your spouse for the wrong reasons, then I think it will become apparent. You know, the electorate are not idiots. We really are not idiots. We can see through these things. And the reason why Neil and I are always sort of photographed together is because we are always together. It's just the way our marriage operates. I've worked for him for years. I work for him now. So we are always there. So the fact that I'm in a shot is not unusual, because we're very rarely not together.
And I'm very, very pleased to hear that, having just almost separated you a few moments ago. Nevena, to you, question. Is there an extent, though, to which, if you are the spouse of a politician, be it husband, be it wife, that you, to an extent, and it might be a small extent, it might be a greater extent, you have to subsume your own ambitions to theirs? You have to almost let them crack on and make accommodations on that basis?
No, I don't agree with that, because, I mean, I can actually speak only from my own experience. I have my own career, but also as a married to a politician, I'm part of his dynamics of his job, and I'm there to support him the same way he's supporting me in what I'm doing. So it's up to people really to what extent they're going to be, you know, sacrificing themselves. But I think actually in today's world, in 21st century, a woman can have it all, you know, and it's up to a woman what she's going to choose. Is she going to be a stay-at-home mother or a professional, or have it all, or, you know, it's part of feminism, really. So it's a 21st century, as I said, and with the digital explosion of digital media and you know, the digital world we live in, we may be, the only really problem I see here is that we are exposed to scrutiny, really, public scrutiny more as a political wives, or actually spouses, let's say, altogether, everyone involved. But it's what we live, it's today's world, and we need to accommodate our lives to that. But yes, the politicians' lifestyle does affect us, but it's, you know, it's a part of having a balance, good balance.
Christine, obviously, you and Neil, the picture of wedded bliss, but every partnership at some point has disagreements. What happens, though, when, you know, a husband and wife, one of whom are working in politics, what happens when you disagree about policy? What happens when you disagree about politics itself?
Well, I mean, it is hard. What Nevena said is absolutely right. I mean, you are, to a certain extent, however independent you are and however much you have your own life, you are wedded to the job to a certain extent. There's no escaping, unless you're prepared to completely divorce, in the other sense, your life from that of your spouse. You know, you have to go along with certain things. Nevena, actually, I think, has done an amazing PR job for herself. I mean, this website she set up is setting her apart from her husband. It's a great PR vehicle for her. So she's making sure that people do know that she's more than just Mrs. Andrew Bridgen. But I've never understood, to go back to your question, I've never really understood how marriages can work if, for example, you know, one is Labour, one is Tory, one is Remain, one is Leave. I simply don't know how sort of domestic harmony continues. Neil and I don't agree about everything, obviously, but we do have broad agreement about the sort of basic fundamentals of politics and on most issues. But no, I should think there are some massive disagreements. I know some couples who are in politics who one is Leave and one is Remain, and they have immense, they don't even talk about it. Now, I find that
probably for the best. Nevena, just a last question to you. Tell us a little bit about your website, the Wives of Westminster.
Well, the Wives of Westminster is a digital platform where I wanted to share actually my experience, my own experience, what it means to be a political spouse in today's Britain. And maybe it's a different way of doing things. Maybe it's a new way. But I'm craving, I believe, the path maybe for the future generations of wives. When they go in 50 years, they go back, look back, they will maybe, you know, be interested in how was it to be a wife of a politician in today's world, in the time of Brexit. And also, you know, I'm speaking about issues that concerns me and that concerns all the women in Britain, such as, you know, equal pay and gender equality and racism and all sorts of things that I'm experiencing. I'm writing as I go, and there is no really, it's very honest kind of conversation, and I want to involve, you know, general public really as well, because we are all learning from each other. And it's not a political platform. I'm not speaking about politics, but I'm speaking rather about my experience. How is it to be a wife of a politician today?
Nevena Bridgen, Christine Hamilton. Really lovely to speak to both of you. Thank you for joining us on Sunrise.
Thanks.